Hello and welcome, and it is the 4-minute morning for today's Saturday, Crypto Day, 19th of May, 2018. This video will be about volatility, but not necessarily Bitcoin against the dollar. In fact, not at all. It will be that of alternate coins against the dollar. The pattern for Bitcoin, still in the same situation, trying to, it needs the average, 18 average to go sideways. So I'm just going to leave it as such. Everything still remains the same over the last couple of days. But we're going to be talking about how Litecoins end up doing against the dollar. I've looked at 11 of them, including LSK. When you look at the size of these moves, lately they've been very small. Yesterday's session, high 131.05, low 124.69. That's hardly much of a movement at all. In fact, that's one of the greater ones. That's like 6%. But the days of big moves of going up like 50% and having monster volatility is screeching lower. The first chart I'm going to show you is the volatility amongst 11 alternate coins against Bitcoin. And those 11 are Dash, Ethereum Classic, Ethereum, Lisk, Litecoin, Neo, Steem, NEM, Monero, Ripple, and ZEC. I basically took the top ones on the market cap, and I didn't take ones like Bitcoin or Verge because of their 1 Satoshi, 2 Satoshi price days earlier. So we're looking at the percentage moves that they collectively have on average together in percentage situations. This is going back 18 months. I don't got the dates on the bottom, at least not yet. And beforehand, there were some pretty big moves. Let me just put a few dates on the screen. As on March the 26th of last year, there was a day in which it got past 20% volatility. And the volatility remained pretty well, going below 10% on April the 10th. But throughout into April and May, some very good updates in cryptos and the volatility on a day-by-day basis. 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% becoming very, very common. Throughout the end of last year, it basically stayed within this trading range of around 11-12% volatility per day on average. The orange line represents a 50-day moving average. December the 8th, the average of the 11 was over 50%. And that was like multiple times it gets over 30% and 40%. But that's pretty wild when you can have that many coins on average have that kind of move. But on January the 20th of last year, it fell below 10%, and there has hardly been any movement since, as it has been in a major decline as far as volatile moves, not much happening. And looking at some statistical numbers, 232 of the first 427 days on this graph up until, of course, January 20th had 54.33% of them above 10% volatility. There has also been 11 of the last 119 at 9.24% under such. So we've had a long, grinding road of low volatility. It will change at some point, but the final chart I want to show now is that of the last 119. How many of those days have had at least 10% volatility? Let's insert that chart now. And it's at 11 at this point. And the dates are on the screen, so we can see that amongst here, this takes us to the end of January, or June rather, of last year, where over 90 of the last 119 days were over 10%. And that meant about under 30 of them were under such. And then you had this sideways movement from October until the December rally. This was all part of the December into January rally that altcoins had. And it's been in a constant downward motion as the altcoins have generally went down and went sideways for the most part since then. Thank you for tuning in, but the whole point of this is that it's going to go back up and things are just going to be wild. I don't know if it's going to take a day, a week, a month, or a year for volatility to get wild and to obnoxious levels again, but I do expect it to take place. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.